Slaughter Daughter, the badass bitch. As you were. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Slaughter Daughter House. I am your host, Kelly Slaughter Daughter Remus. Um, Unfortunately, I have some bad news. Lacey's not going to be able to meet up with us tonight. She lives in Georgia, and they've had some really bad storms all day today, and her power has been going in and out. And so we were really hoping that she would be able to be here. And unfortunately, she's not going to make it. But I wanted to still come on here and say hello to everybody and let you know that we are going to reschedule. And as soon as we reschedule, I will let you guys know when we will be on. But Lacy and I actually met on Instagram, believe it or not. She reached out to me when there was another person named Lacy that I was having some beef with. And so she reached out to me then, and we formed a very fast friendship. So I really look forward to being able to talk to you guys with her. And her and I have never really talked about like our childhoods and if they're similar or how different they are. And so I thought that it would be really cool for us to kind of do that on air. And we talked last night and I was like, no, stop, let's stop. Like, I want to wait until we're like live on the air and let's stop talking about it. So I'm really excited to bring that to you. And I really wish that I could have done that today. But like I said, I just wanted to come on and say hi. So at least you guys get to talk to me a little bit if you're interested in talking to me. Um, so let's go into the chat. I want to say hi to everyone. Peppermint Oil Capsule, he is sleeping. He's all the way in the UK. He's not able to make it, but hey, Spacey, good to see you. See your comment, and I miss you. Um, we've got Joe Ricondo. Yes, it would have been an awesome stream. I'm so bummed, but that's you can't predict the weather. They try, but um, no power sucks. We don't want to interview in the dark. So, hey, Patrick. Hey, Ken. Thanks for being here. Hey, Cutthroat. How's it going? Yeah, Law and Order, baby. Now, would that not be like the best tag team right there? Hey, Tracy. How are you? Hey, Wayne. Hey, David. Kyle, it's so good to see you that you made it. Oh, you got to see my dad in Waterloo this weekend? That's awesome. Very cool. Hey, Blues. Thanks for being here. Hey, Walter. How's it going? Hey, Matt. Yeah, sucks, but it is what it is. Oh, let's see. Walter. Yes, that was, they had a good rivalry, didn't they? Still is awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, Zazel's here. Hey, Zazel. Good morning, or, it's nighttime here. It's a little after 8 o'clock p.m. over here. Tyler, met your father, great experience, and glad to be friends with you too. At ease, exactly. All right. So, you guys, why did it never come to be Sarge and Boss Man? Well, I think my dad was kind of like on his way out as Boss Man was on his way in. Like they were in there together at the same time. Um, but I think my dad wasn't really wrestling a whole lot then. He was more of like the road agent. He was behind the scenes more. I think, I don't really know a lot about my dad's career and timing and stuff. And wrestling really was not a big thing in our house. It was just something that my dad did. So I don't know a lot about my dad's career, and I really don't know a lot about wrestling. So I do know that Ray and my dad were friends. And my dad had a golf tournament, a celebrity charity golf tournament, 2 years in a row. And Ray came to that, or a Big Boss Man came to that, and I got to meet him. And I have a picture somewhere of me and him, and I haven't been able to find it, but I've been looking for it because I wanted to show Lacy that picture. But it was late 90s, something like that. So yeah, he was Commissioner Slaughter then. Yeah. So, but he gave my dad advice, or other way around, sorry. My dad would give Ray advice, and they were friendly. And my dad has always had very complimentary things to say about Big Boss Man. So um, yeah, 86 or 87 when your dad was back in the AWA. And they did get to cross paths a little in the early 90s. Yeah. So it was kind of, it just never worked out. But how awesome would that have been though, right? I mean, that would have been awesome. Law and Order, and then Lacy and I could have done like a Law and Order part two. That would have been fun. Yes, Law and Order would have been so awesome. Hey Renee, I am doing great this evening. I am I had a great weekend. I hope everybody else had a wonderful weekend. I spent a lot of time at the pool. I went out with some friends, had a wonderful dinner. Um, if anyone's from the Charlotte area in North Carolina, they have the Queen's Feast is going on this week, Restaurant Week. So I got to go out last week or yesterday for Restaurant Week and try out a really cool restaurant that was really good in the Loso area of Charlotte. All right. Um, hey, Nicholas, how are you? These comments are going too fast for me. Where's your dad at now? I'm a friend of his, and last time I saw him was in Raleigh, North Carolina at a toy show. So he was working this weekend. I'm not exactly sure where he is now, but he was working this weekend. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know where he's at right now. I actually, this is going to sound so bad, but I do not follow my dad's schedule because it always is all over the place and he's everywhere all the time. Like he's always doing something and going somewhere. So he'll tell me, like, oh, I'm going to be here this date and here this date. And it just all gets jumbled in my head. So I'm like, Dad, I'll just text you. I'll just text you if I need to know where you're at. Okay. Thanks. Yeah, it would have been legendary. Definitely would have been legendary. Um, all right, so back in the WWF, how many wrestlers did I see? I met a lot of wrestlers, but I also met a lot of wrestlers not knowing that they were wrestlers. So, like I said, that was my dad's job. And so it really wasn't like he didn't take it to the office all the time, just like your dad never took you to the office all the time, right? So we didn't go to all the events and everything like people think because we had school and we had to, my dad was the one traveling and we were home and having to go to school and everything. But I my who I call my Uncle Don, who's Don Kernodle, who was my dad's tag team partner. um we called him uncle because he was so close to our family. I mean, he was like a brother to my dad, and they traveled all the time together. And I did not know that he wrestled. I had probably been around Don, I don't know, 6 years, calling him Uncle Don before I found out that he was a wrestler. It really was not a big part of our lives, and he was just my Uncle Don. And I couldn't wait till my Uncle Don was coming to visit and have fun. I had so much fun with my Uncle Don. I loved him so much and miss him very much. And I was always could not wait. And my mom would always tell me, now your dad and Uncle Don are coming in, and, let Uncle Don sleep, because the guest room was right next to my bedroom. And I was known to like go in there and wake him up because I would be so excited, not knowing that they literally just got there from their travels on the road. And so my mom would tell me, leave them alone, leave your Uncle Don alone, let him sleep. And when he's ready to wake up, he will wake up. But I've met The Rock, I've met Hogan, I've met Stone Cold Steve Austin. I've met The Rock a couple times. He's so nice. I met Big Show. I met I've met Vince. I've met Stephanie. I've met Triple H. I met Eugene. I've met Iron Sheik was a close friend of the family. Um, Lord Alfred Hayes, huge friend of the family. Roddy Piper. Um, yeah, there's a lot of wrestlers. And again, I'm sure I've met more. I just didn't know they were wrestlers because I wasn't even a fan. So, um, yeah. It would be cool if Sergeant Slaughter had his own comic book, just saying. Well, yeah, that would be really cool, wouldn't it? To have his own uh comic. Just just so like tell me more. Tell me more, Chris, about this comic idea that you have. So would it be G.I. Joe or would it just be like Sarge, like a military thing? Um, hey, Jonathan, how are you? My dad's good. I'm good. Hey, everybody. Hi, everyone. Um, Paul does do very well managing my schedule. And if anyone wants to book my dad, if they want to need an autograph, they have something they need signed, and they're not going to be at a toy show when he'll be there. Um, at any of his events, this is who you want to contact right here, right there. That's Paul Inserto. It's his phone number, his email. You can call him, you can text him, you can email him, send smoke signals, and he will get you all of your Sergeant Slaughter needs taken care of. Um, like I said, I don't know my dad's schedule. So, um, did I ever get to ride in or see the camouflage limo? Yes. It was parked outside of our house when we lived in Connecticut. And when we lived in Connecticut, we lived off of a really long um, dirt gravel road. And it was maybe like a mile before you got to our driveway. And then you would go up our driveway, and it was like really steep and curvy. And so it was parked on our driveway on the side as you first came up the driveway. And so you would see that before you even saw our house. And yeah, so I used to play in there. I loved the camouflage limo. It was really cool. Yeah, Law and Order was very clever, clever, clever. Would have been very good. Yeah, you guys, my injuries. So I've had several injuries actually. So first, I had tendonitis in my ankle. Then I got a tear in my knee. Then I tore my rotator cuff. And I was still working out and doing everything, all the things, because I'm like, there's no rotator cuff injury is going to let me down. They're not going to slow me down, my body. Screw this. I'm not old. And then I tore my plantar fascia. Tearing my plantar fascia is what took me out because I could not walk. I literally could not walk. I couldn't walk when I tore my meniscus either. But I still kept going, but my foot really put me out and I had to be in a boot for a while, but I'm out of the boot now. My doctor told me, cleared me to start teaching again, teaching my fitness classes, but I have to teach in my boot. That's doctor's orders. And I did teach one class in my boot and it hurt my knees, and I will never teach class in my boot again. So I'm not doing that. So I just have to be very careful. My boot, it keeps me from moving my foot in a position that's going to make me re-injure it, but it also keeps me from moving my foot at all, my ankle, anything. So trying to doing lunges and things like that, I couldn't even, it was bad. It put a lot of pressure on my knees. So I'm not wearing it anymore. So, but it is a lot better now. And thank you so much for asking. I'm doing physical therapy on my shoulder, and that's kind of just stagnant right now. It's not getting better, it's not getting worse. So, we'll see how that goes. Um, but it is getting a lot better. Oh, thanks, Hazel. Um, yes, that was a lot of people that I got to see. That was a good list. Hey, Patrick, yes, I do need my own figure. Do you see this figure right here? Right there? My friend Mark Potter made that for me. That's a custom Slaughter Daughter figure. Um, all the way across the pond in jolly old England. That came from Mark. It's very cool. Um, would you, could I see myself like as the G.I. Joe version? I would love to be in G.I. Joe. Are you kidding me? Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't want to be in G.I. Joe? I mean, who are we kidding? Of course. I would love to be in G.I. Joe. And I've always said if I were to wrestle, I know a lot of wrestlers' kids try to get away from their parents' gimmick, and I totally get that, but I would totally play off my dad's gimmick just because it's a good gimmick, right? So, I probably wouldn't have like a military background because I don't want that whole like stolen valor thing to be following me around. So maybe I would just be like the personal trainer of the Joes or something like that. And I would, you know, still like a contracted employee, not military, but like I'm still a bad A. You know what I mean? And just my father's daughter. And I would wear fatigues and a black tank top. I'd have a whistle. I'd have aviators. So that's kind of like how I envision my G.I. Joe character looking, is with the camouflage pants, a really cool belt, like a military belt, and a black tank top. And I think it would be sexy as hell and I wouldn't be showing any skin. And I think it would be awesome. But yeah, that's what my G.I. Joe version of myself would be. And I would also have a sidekick, an animal sidekick. And it would be a Black Panther. And her name would be Karma. Because if I don't get you, Karma will. Yes, he is the best man out there. Yep, he's doing great. Awesome. Yes, he's very willing to meet with his fans. He loves his fans. He um, appreciates each and every one of you very much, and he will spend a lot of time with you guys because he cares. He really does. Cater to teens about talking about bullying, drugs, and so on, but he teaches about right and wrongs. Yeah, that sounds good. Sounds good. Yes, Joe Fest. I really wish that I had been able to get to Joe Fest this year. I just couldn't. I had a lot of personal things going on, and then I was injured, and I just had other things going on, and I wasn't able to make it. So, but yeah, the after hours hangouts. After last year, I told my dad, I'm like, I know you do breakfast with Sarge, but you need to do like after dinner with Sarge or something because you're already at the bar. Like you might as well do something at the bar with everybody too. So yeah, it's so fun. So fun. Love Joe Fest. If you guys are ever able to go to Joe Fest, go. It's a really good time. It's a really good community. And I heard this past year was the best it's ever been. And it's a bummer because I didn't get to go. And I thought last year was pretty awesome. So yeah, Chad, I tore it and it was awful. I felt it and I heard it. And I knew it was bad. And I was in the middle of teaching class. Halfway through, I had to finish class with a torn or ruptured um, plantar fascia. That was fun. So fun. But I powered through. I got it done. Yeah. Um, Thanks, David. I try to be I'm resilient. I like to say resilient instead of strong. Even though I am strong, I am also very resilient. And if I get knocked down, I get up again. Never gonna let me down. Sarge breakfast cereal. Never ever let your enemy eat your breakfast. Yes, that actually is something that my dad, one time I had to have him explain that to me when I was little. I was like, what does that mean? Why would you be having breakfast with your enemy? Why would you let them eat your breakfast? I was little. And he was like, no, it's like, don't let your enemy get in your head. And I was like, that's a really good lesson. I've gone through my life with that lesson from my dad. Not that I have any enemies or anything, but just like, don't let the haters bring you down. I think it's a good life lesson, right? Um, yeah, use your dad's gimmick to agree. Charlotte Flair has a flare robe. Oh, the figure 8 versus the figure 4. Nice. See, Ken, you know all these things. I don't follow wrestling. I don't know any of this. They're actually, I have been following, it's been coming up on my Instagram feed with like some of the stuff they're doing right now with Dom and Liv. And I'm like, that's creepy and gross. Why are you doing that? I don't know. Just gross. Um, Talk to Santa. Maybe he'll make you an action figure. There you go. There you go. Yes, I would use the Slaughter name. I'd be Slaughter Daughter, Kelly Slaughter. Being a daughter in the wrestling business, who did you enjoy your dad working with in the ring? So I I don't really have an answer to that because I didn't watch a lot of my dad's wrestling. But I will say when I got older and it wasn't so traumatizing for my sister and I to like watch him get beat up. When I got older and he was commissioner and he was that whole DX angle, like that was hilarious. I loved it. I loved when Shawn Michaels and Triple H came out with the masks and the windshield wipers because listen, he spits when he talks. And when he's mad or angry or really talking, like really excited or whatever, it comes out even more. And I've been on the other end of that a lot of my life, getting in trouble and whatnot. And so it was like so because it was so true, like that you need these windshield wipers. It was amazing. I loved it. So I really liked that. And I think it's just because I was older and I could appreciate it more, if that makes sense. Um, yeah. I hope that answered your question there, Brendan. What a Leopard Tank 2 driver. I don't know what that is. Sorry. I I don't follow. The only GI Joe I had was my dad's, and I had the Triple T tank. After Hours Bar, yes. Totally should. I know. I'm sorry I didn't get to go. I was bummed. Hans, you're here. Hi. Kicks in the door. Evening, everyone, and the finest of good evenings to the toughest girl I know, Kelly. Good evening, madam. Good evening, sir. I'm happy you're here. Thanks for coming. Um, since you're late, you don't know that unfortunately Lacy can't be here, and I'm so bummed. She doesn't have any power, and so we can't do a show in the dark. So I'm bummed, so bummed that she can't be here, but we are going to reschedule. Um, I think it's going to be an awesome show. Talking to Lacy about um, um, the differences in our childhoods. Ignore the haters. Yes, exactly. I know I missed the Joe Fest too. Yes, I really hope that I'm there next year. Fingers crossed. I want to be there. I hope so. Um, I ate all the enemy's breakfast before you showed up. Nice. Nice, nice. Slaughter daughter, don't cross her or you'll have a problem. Yeah, you might. You might. What's that meme that goes around every now and then where it's like, I don't hold a grudge and also screw Becky from second grade. That is kind of me. Not really. Although I did post something on Facebook that I said that I was feeling more Evil Queen vibes than Disney Princess vibes, and you guys didn't believe me. Like I couldn't be the Evil Queen. Like what the hell? I could totally be evil and mean. That's my husband. He'll tell you. I totally, dude, did you not watch the biography? It was like childhood trauma. Freaking Iron Sheik came out with like a knife and was trying to stab my dad right in front of us at a family show. It was it was awful. I was like 4. I was not smart to the business. Oh man. Yes. It was so good. It was so good. I love it. Love it, love it. What was the best advice your fathers gave you about dating men who are in the wrestling sport? So, I'm not going to speak for Lacey, but this is a good question that I will go ahead and answer, but then we can, when we have Lacey on, we can ask her also. But he said, you're not dating a wrestler. So that was that. I even tried to have him hook me up with some of the wrestlers. Like, hey, Dad, let me come backstage. I want to meet so and so. Be like, no. Be like, why not? He didn't want the wrestler's life for me, and he didn't want me dating or marrying a wrestler. And I'm like, well, I think you forget that I am the daughter of a wrestler and I know what the wrestling life is like. Even though I wasn't wrestling, I know what the other side of wrestling is like. Yeah, serving hard time. That's right. You guys, I love Lacey so much, and I cannot wait until we're able to have her on the show. It's going to be amazing. I even have her and I went to see, I think it was Raw right before Halloween last year, and she gave me this Big Boss Man pop. Yes. So I think my dad really didn't smarten. I can't speak for my sister, she's older, but for me, my dad did not smart me up to the business until like the Iraqi sympathizer days. He would tell me like, "Oh, we're just dancing. Daddy's just dancing." He would say it was Daddy's friend and that they were like I said, they were just dancing and that he really wasn't getting hurt and things like that. But the reality of it was he was getting hurt because when he would come home, he'd be sleeping all the time. He'd be resting from all his injuries. He'd have cuts all over his head where he'd been bleeding out, you know? So it was like, even though he was telling me as a little girl, he really wasn't getting hurt, I saw that he was getting hurt. And I remember one time he hurt his knee so bad and he let it go for so long. And my mom finally made him go to the doctor, and the doctor said, you have gangrene. And if you had waited a few more hours, we would have had to amputate your leg. So for me, my dad telling me he wasn't getting hurt in the ring, he was lying because he was getting hurt in the ring because I saw what was happening when he came home. So it didn't matter as a little girl, him telling me that because I saw he was getting hurt. And so when we went and saw that match, that Iron Sheik match in the Poconos, and my sister and I, just lost it because we thought we were getting ready to watch our dad be murdered right in front of us. Like, remember, I was like a very little girl. Um, we didn't go see wrestling. We didn't see my dad wrestle a lot after that because it was so traumatizing to us. And but as far as like when he smartened me up to the business or smartened us up to the business, it was like during the Iraqi sympathizer days because he's like, you're going to see pictures of your dad with Saddam Hussein and it's not real and it's Photoshop. At the time, there was no such thing as Photoshop, but he was like, it's just edited, it's not real, things like that. So, yeah. And also, let's not forget that wrestling may be choreographed and they may know the outcome at the end of the day. And Brian, I know you know this, but that still hurts. There's no padding under that mat. Like that hurts. Like they're slamming themselves down. My dad had to have a double hip replacement because of the trauma on his body from wrestling. So, all right. Are you bummed that WWE is moving to Netflix for next year? No, it doesn't really affect me because I don't watch it. So I don't know. That's a good question for people that watch wrestling. I think it's kind of cool. I think it's bringing wrestling to like a whole different audience. I feel like I think it's kind of cool. We'll see how it goes, I guess. Oh, best in the business thing. Yes, that's the tank for me. All right. So I took a complete rest. So when I hurt my foot, I took a complete rest after that because I was like, listen, my body is trying to tell me something. My ankle. They're like, okay, well, we'll get her to slow down with her ankle. That didn't work. So let's take her knee out. That didn't work. So let's take her shoulder out. That didn't work. Let's take her foot. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, my body is trying to tell me something. I need to rest. So when I hurt my foot, I was already resting my upper body and I was just doing lower body stuff plus teaching my classes. And when I hurt my foot, I stopped everything. I wasn't teaching, I wasn't doing upper body, not doing lower body, nothing. So I've taken a complete and total rest. I started back teaching last week. So Monday, this past Monday, was my first class back teaching. It went really well, a lot better than I was expecting it was going to go because I was in a boot and a lift to keep me even. So I wasn't all off kilter. So I would say like there's another maybe 2 weeks still, they said, of healing. But to be taking off the boot and to be stretching it and things like that. But they did say people can still have problems with their foot for a long time because you use it so much and the plantar fascia does a lot for you. So there may just be some moves that bother it sometimes, and plantar fasciitis can um, flare up at any time. And I did have plantar fasciitis. Um, and I had a flare up of it. And then I kept pushing through and then I tore it because I'm not smart. So soon, hopefully for total healing, hopefully soon, but I'm back at it. And at this point, I'm going to get my kids back to school in August, and then I'm going to hit the gym on a regular basis again with my lifting. And I think I'm getting ready to get an MRI on my shoulder since I'm just kind of like even keel with the healing of my shoulder with my therapy that I'm doing on it. So we'll see what they say about my shoulder, but I think I can definitely start working lower body just with modifications. Yes, a lot of heels in wrestling say they enjoyed being a heel more than a baby face. That is 100%. My dad says it. It's so much more fun. He started as a heel, then he became a baby face because the people made him a baby face because of the whole military or, Sergeant Slaughter versus Iron Sheik and USA, became a lot very patriotic. Um, and then he became a baby face. The people made him one. And then he went back to being a heel and then back to a face. But he always said being a heel was much more fun. And I can say it is a lot more fun to be a heel. Definitely. Yeah, Sherry Martel, it's right. Yes, that would be awesome, Joe. That's a great idea. I don't Augusta's not that far from where she lives either. So I think that would be awesome. And then maybe her and I could just get our own booth. Wouldn't that be fun? Although I think it's more fun to walk around the show than to have a booth because then you're stuck working. Who wants to work, man? Ah, dating wrestlers is a bad romance. You can't have that many people that are that physically fit in one place at one time. I love it. I miss you, Hans. I miss you guys. I miss talking to you guys. Yeah, predetermined, not fake. Exactly. Oh, that's awesome. The Big Bubba action figure. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. I really wish that Lacy could be here tonight, you guys. She doesn't have any power and we can't do a show in the dark. I'm really bummed. So Keith, I don't know. He did say that he was stiff. In fact, I think as a joke, right before Warrior died, they saw each other, and as a joke to kind of break the ice, my dad gave him a present, and it was a potato, like an actual potato. You're welcome. Good evening, Keith. Good evening. Thank you guys so much for sticking around with me. I know this isn't what you expected, and I still, when I found out that she wasn't going to be able to come on, I still wanted to come on just to say hi because I haven't been on in so long, and I just wanted to say hey and talk to you guys and just kind of let you know what I was going on, what was going on with my life. Hey, Jonathan. I think my dad saw it, and I think he said that you did a good job. Um, I'm pretty sure I showed it to him. I think last time I showed it to him. Would you voice like your dad or live action? No. I would love to do the voice. I mean, obviously, who wouldn't want to be like a live action of yourself? I think that would be cool to do that, but it would be really cool to do either. Um, yeah, I think it would be cool to do either, but I don't know. I think it would be fun to do my own stunts too. I think that would be pretty cool. So I didn't meet a lot of wrestlers' children. I did meet, obviously I've met Big Boss Man's daughter, Lacy, um, Lord Alfred Hayes's kids. Um, we saw them a lot. But I was like really little. I was really little. My sister was older. My sister remembers them more clearly than I do. Because once we moved to Charlotte, we didn't see them a lot. Um, and then I saw Lord Alfred a lot later on in life, um, before he passed away, but his children were already grown and they were in Texas at the time. So mm, I met two of Roddy Piper's kids. One of them was just a little tiny baby at the time, so she probably really does not remember me. She was just a baby, and I was really little, but if I met wrestlers' kids, again, I probably didn't even know that they were a wrestler's kid. 'Cause it was just like a kid that was around my age that I could play with, you know? Um, like I'm pretty sure I met The Rock when we were kids. He's older than me, so when my dad was wrestling the Iron Sheik, the match that traumatized me, that was The Rock's parents were the promoters for that. And in the Poconos. And my dad said he thought that The Rock may have been there. Of course, he wasn't called The Rock then. So I may have met him then, but it would have been just, I mean, like I said, he was older than me, so we wouldn't have been like hanging out. He was like 17 and I was like 5. So it might have been just like, hi, how are you? And I had no idea who they were. Um, yeah, money talks. It's a business. They got to make money. Yeah. So a lot of times when you see the legends going in and losing to the new up and coming, it's because they're putting them over. That's what it's called. So he put a lot of Ooh, you guys probably can't hear that, but there was just some really big thunder. I think that storm that went through Georgia's now coming this way. I'm not far from her. Well, I'm in South Carolina, so yeah, he had a double hip replacement due to the trauma from wrestling, and the doctor actually told him that he had no idea how my dad was even standing, and that my dad should have had a hip replacement 20 years prior, and that he really didn't know how my dad was standing at that point in time. Hey, hey, how are you? How's it going? Thanks for that custom. You guys should check out Kiwi GI Customs and Collections. He did a custom Slaughter's Marauder Slaughter Daughter figure. It was pretty freaking awesome too. I feel like I'm really behind on the comments, you guys, and I'm sorry for that. My dad's wrestling themes is your favorite. Mine is Hard Crops. So you mean like the theme songs? Probably the original, which was the Marine Corps hymn. That one probably would have been the one I think is the best. All the other ones I feel like might have been a little bit more generic. Yes, thanks, Kiwi. 6 weeks to get over your shoulder injury. I'm a little bit past that. This has been since May. And to be honest with you, the front was hurting for like a year. And I just ignored it and ignored it and ignored it. And then it got really, really bad. And then I decided that that would be a really good time to take a pickleball. And I think that's how I actually tore my rotator cuff was from playing pickleball with a bad, like my shoulder was already bad. And then I was just like, I'm going to play pickleball. I'm dumb. I'm dumb. I don't want to stop. You know what I mean? Like I'm in it. I want to do it. I'm having a good time. Having a good time. Yeah. So I was doing jumping lunges. So there was this track that I was teaching where there was like three moves that you did and you would do it slow. So you would do 8 backward stepping lunges, then you would do 2 burpee thrusters, and then you would do, they call them scap squats, but it's basically a squat with a jump, like jumping squats. So you do it slow and then you do it fast. And I told my class, I'm like, my plantar fasciitis has been bothering me. So I'm only going to show you it fast one time and then I'm going to go slow. But if you want to keep going fast, you can keep going fast. And so I went back, forwards, back, tore. It was bad. So for my research, what I was finding out, so like if this is your foot, and this is like the underneath of, this is your foot, and this is the underneath of your foot. So back here, down here. So this is my heel. Right here is where it tore. And like the plantar fascia comes up like this, and then it almost like comes down into a Y. It attaches to this bone right here. And so this is where I tore it. And so if you tear it here, it's supposedly considered a rupture because if you tear it more up here, that's when it's called a tear. And down here, it's called a rupture. But I didn't have an MRI or anything because it's getting better. Usually you don't get an MRI right away unless it's not getting better. And so because mine was getting better, they didn't feel like they needed to do an MRI because it's getting better. I don't need surgery. Whereas on my shoulder, it's not getting better. So that's now we're probably going to be going in there and getting an MRI to see how bad it is. But hopefully I won't need surgery on that. Any juicy stories from the locker room that you can share with us? Um, that is a really good question for my dad. I think there's a lot of other shows that I've done where he's talked about like the Montreal screw job and the he was in the locker room for that. So that would be a really good show to look back on it. Actually, that might be on Zazel's channel. I can't remember. If it's on my channel or Zazel's channel, but just go look at Zazel's Clubhouse or my channel. It says like Montreal screw job, but he actually talks about that. Um, um, I'm trying to think. he just talked about how they would like razz each other or do ribs, I guess is what they call it, the rib each other, like play pranks on each other and just they tried to make it lively because they were away on the road for so long. Yeah, it is more fun to walk around at Joe Fest for sure. Nice. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. I'm glad that you guys are hanging out with me. Um, it's fun. I do hear like thunders. I don't know if you guys can hear the thunder, but uh, greetings from Honduras. Hello. Hello, hello. I would love a classified GI Joe of me. And actually, my I guess he's considered my nephew, but my husband's nephew draws comics. He just graduated high school. He's an amazing artist. He was drawing Transformers, like intricate, very detailed Transformers when he was 3 years old. He's an amazing artist, and his goal is to have his own comic book. So I actually talked to him and was like, "Do you think you could put me in a like, let's make up a comic with me so I can show that to Hasbro, like be a step above and be like, look at what we can do with Slaughter Daughter." I would love to be an ambassador for them, like my dad has been my whole life. It would be awesome, very awesome. That's funny. Yeah, if you want me, we can work it out. Send me a message. If you want my dad, you got to call Paul. Let me put Paul's information up there. If you want my dad, you got to call Paul. There's a show in the US called Better Call Saul, but better call Paul if you want my dad. Awesome. You guys are awesome. Hey, Glow. How are you? Did I ever feel like I had to fight for attention from my dad with my sister, especially when you were growing up in Charlotte? I never really felt like I had to fight for attention from my dad. I had to fight for attention from my mom because my dad was always gone. So my mom was the one that was around us all the time. She was basically like a single mom. And my sister was the golden child, as you know, Gloria. And my sister was the perfect one. She did everything right. She listened. She was like the perfect child, right? She did, if you said, Nicole, it's time to go to bed, she would say, okay. She would go to bed. Say, Nicole, let's get your shoes on. Okay. She put her shoes on. She listened. She obeyed. I didn't do any of those things. I didn't listen. I didn't obey. I wanted to do whatever the hell I wanted to do. And it was really hard on my mom because I was not like my sister at all. So the attention that I got from my mom was negative attention. So that's just how it was. But I never really felt like I had to fight for my dad's attention. I always felt like my sister was my mom's favorite, and then I was my dad's favorite. That's how I always felt growing up. Were you ever disappointed that your dad never won the world title as a good guy? No, because I didn't follow wrestling. So I have no idea how many times sounds so bad, you guys, but I don't even know how many times he had a title belt. I know he had it more than what he had in WWE. I think he had the title in with my Uncle Don, tag team title, world champions. I don't know. Isn't that bad? I think my mom wasn't a wrestling fan. We weren't wrestling fans. We weren't into it. It's just like what my dad did for a living. And like you got to remember too, my dad was not Sergeant Slaughter wasn't allowed in the house. So it wasn't even talked about. It's just like how my dad made money. Like I think about like with my husband, right? Because my husband's the primary breadwinner. He's the one who works. I stay home with the kids. And so I think about like we never talk about my husband's work ever. Like he might be like, "Oh, it's a hard day." I'd be like, "Oh, honey, that sucks." Like stuff like that, but like we don't go out with his coworkers. We don't go like hang out. Like I'm not hanging out with his boss. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like that. Like that's just not. Hey from Seattle. Hey from the Carolinas. I'm in the Charlotte area, so I never know what to say. I guess she was always with us. Funny, I did not think that. You were the neatest kid. Thanks, Gloria. Thank you, thank you. I was a neat kid, thank you. I was awesome. I still am awesome. I love it. Be gone, gremlins. Be gone from your throne of skulls. Speaking of thrones, is anyone watching House of the Dragon? Don't tell me I'm only on episode 3. I gotta get caught up because I gotta get caught up. Yes, I did dress up as my dad for Halloween. I did it once when I was little. I was probably like 5, and I dressed up like my dad. Instead of dressing up like a princess, I wanted to dress up like my dad. And then yeah, last Halloween, I dressed up like my dad. I sent it to my family, like in the group chat, and my mom was like, "Where'd you get that picture of your dad?" I'm like, "That's me. That is me, mom, dressed up like dad." Oh, who do I not hate to work with in the ring? I know there were some wrestlers like Warrior who were really stiff, and so um, I don't know if my dad really ever hated to work with anyone. I know Andre the Giant, if he'd been drinking, my dad, not that he hated working with him, but he did not look forward to it because Andre was rough. I mean, he was huge and rough and strong. And when he was drinking, he couldn't, hold back as well as could when he wasn't drinking. And so I think my dad didn't look forward to wrestling Andre if he'd been drinking. Um, but I don't know that he really hated to work with anyone. And he didn't hate working with Andre. I think it was just like, oh God, how many drinks have you had? One time Andre fell asleep in the ring. My dad had to deal with that show, like with people around and your opponent's sleeping. It's great. Hey, 5 to 4 times always a joy. Yes, he loves his fans. He loves his fans. They say that a rebellious and inquisitive spirit is a sign of an active mind. Yes. She was told, but you needed proof. You are a truth seeker. Yes. It's why the ghost hung out with you. Yes. I am a truth seeker. I'm a truth teller too. And I was just saying that yesterday that I think there are some people that don't like me because I'm a truth teller and they don't like that. That's okay. But I am a truth teller. Thank you. And I do have a very active mind. Thanks for saying that, Hans. I appreciate that. Yeah, I haven't forgot about those ghost stories. Oh, I haven't had anything weird happen recently. And now that I'm saying that, something's weird's gonna happen now. All the lights are gonna go out. Just kidding. Sometimes, though, I feel like you can push things away and refuse to see them. It's almost like you're in denial in a way. Yeah. 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 I think I'm gonna watch an episode tonight. I'm gonna watch an episode tonight. Yes. So, Chris, my mom would have to get a babysitter so she could take a shower. That's how bad I was. I was all over the place. I drove her crazy. Yep. And now she didn't drug me, but Um, yeah, she would have to get a babysitter one time. So back in the day, because I was born in 79, so in the late 70s, early 80s, they had like those outdoor play pens that were like that made of wood and they were like accordion, right? So they would expand really big and then they would close up so you'd be able to store them away and they would like close flat and it would go in a circle. And so if you didn't have a fenced in yard, my parents didn't have a fenced in yard, so they would put this out in the yard and put me in there so I could run around and like, not get hit by a car, run off or whatever. And so my mom would put me in there and I was in there playing and running around, having a great time. And my mom was like, Kelly, I will be right back. I just need to run inside. And I think the phone was ringing or something. And she was like, I just need to find out who it is. And so she ran inside and picked up the phone and was like, I need to call you back. I'm outside with Kelly. Hung up the phone and went back outside. And I had stripped all of my clothes off, including my diaper, and was running around naked in the little playpen thing. My parents always said if they'd had me first, I would be an only child. Yep. So my son would be super into G.I. Joe if G.I. Joe was still like fresh and new, if that makes sense. Like if they still had the cartoon fresh and new all the time where he'd be able to watch it, he would really be into G.I. Joe because he wants to be a Army Ranger sniper when he grows up. That is what he wants to do. And so he's very much into the military and things like that. I used to get threatened with military school when I was young. Like, if you don't shape up, we're going to send you to military school. And I'd be like, no, I don't want to go to military school. And I tried to threaten my son with that one time. And he was like, yeah, I want to go to military school. I was like, ah, that did not work the way I wanted it to. That would have been a really good match, Jared, for sure. For sure. Naked baby Kelly was seeking the truth. That's right. I was. I need to be in my birthday suit. For sure. Okay, if you're looking for something that will make you smile, take a look for a video on YouTube called Nap Time. Okay, but is this like that joke where somebody told me one time to Google two girls in a cup? Is this going to be one of those things where I Google this and I look it up and it's nasty? That was shocking. Yes. Yeah, so he actually a guy he had a grandpa slaughter, exactly. There's a guy in my neighborhood who was an Army Ranger sniper for the Army Rangers, and so they've talked and he's a really good guy. And some of you might know my cousin was an Army Ranger and he died of wounds 15 years ago. It's hard to believe it's been that long. Okay, humorous video about a product for your kids. Okay, then I will go look for that. Thank you, Keith. Oh, you guys, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. We're coming up on an hour, and I don't want to take up any more of your time. I really did just want to come on here really quick and say hello to you guys since I wasn't going to be able to do a show with Lacy. It's pouring down rain now. So I will keep you guys updated on when Lacy and I are able to reschedule. I think it's going to be an awesome show. I'm really excited. I'm so bummed that we weren't able to do it today. Um, but soon, hopefully soon. And I know her and I are actually planning on going to Raw. Is it Raw or SmackDown? I think is coming to Charlotte in the fall in like October. So we're gonna go see that together. Um, yeah, it's gonna be a good time. And let's see, what do I have coming up? I don't really have a lot coming up. Um, Just kind of hanging out. I'm injured. I've been injured. I'm getting over these injuries. I do have a Spartan race that I'm really hoping I'm able to do. It's in November, 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, I think. And it's going to be a trifecta weekend. I know I'm totally crazy, you guys. I'm like going to be going from like not working out at all to doing three freaking races and like 150 obstacles or some shit like that. Um, Anyway, I'm crazy. I'm doing it for the medals. You see this? I do it for the medals, you guys, and you get an extra medal, and the extra medal when you do a trifecta weekend for Spartan is really cool this year. It spins, and I really want it. I'm gonna have it. It was good to see you too, Walter. Keith, thank you. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thanks, Chris. Thank you, Paige. Absolutely, of course. Thank you guys for being here with me. I will update you on when I will get Lacy here. Um, yes, I'm going to do it. I'm determined I will do it, even if I have to crawl through the whole thing. I'm doing it. Yes, injury free, please. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. Injury free. Please, please. Oh, you missed it. Well,